This is weird holding it on the other hand. What's good, YouTube? My name is Harris and you're watching another episode of BRG MX5. In today's episode, we're installing a boost gauge, something that I should have done a long time ago, but now we have the turbo in. It's very important to know how much we're boosting. Now this boost gauge I literally just bought off the internet, so if it's good, if it's bad, who knows. But when we install it, we'll see how good it is. How we're going to do it, we are going to tee off the mega squirt reference from the engine bay, because it's easier to leave just one line coming out and then teeing off here, which means I can diagnose the problem out here, and it'll just be a lot less lines inside the bay. Some of the things you're going to need are obviously your boost gauge, some vacuum line, and a T fitting, which you can get at any auto parts store. For us it's Super Cheap Auto or Repco. I got a Festo one because I work at a place that supplies Festo fittings, but any plastic fitting will do. On the back of the boost gauge there are two wires, and this is for illumination at night. So if you want to have that, which it's not really hard to do, you just want to splice these two wires into your ignition. So not ignition, your light switch. So when you turn on the first light, accessory light, this guy will turn on, and when you turn up to full, it will still be on because accessory lights are on when you have low beams. So just trying to find out which of those lights which of the wires under the dash are the accessory lights, and then plumb up the vacuum line to the mega squirt reference. I think the first thing we're going to do is just to plumb this in to see if it even works. I know I'm running about negative 21 inches of mercury of vacuum off the manifold, so we'll see if this works first. Alright, I can't get to my ECU without removing the kick panel, so time to remove that. The kick pan is out, and the vacuum signal is on the left hand side there. Can you see it? DIY auto tune. Alright, so we're going to make our incision a little bit higher, not too close to the unit, so that we can run a vacuum line across the center console to the other side, to the driver's side. So we're going to cut it a little bit higher. Insert the T fitting. Ooh, that was a lot harder than I thought. That vacuum hose is very tight. Now get your extension vacuum hose, plug it into the T, and then to the boost gauge. Alright, let's start the engine and see what it reads. The engine's a bit cold, but I'm almost pulling 30 inches of mercury, so that's kind of good. And if I give it a throttle blip, going good. So I'm going to try and take the car around the block and see if this goes into the positive pressure. So I'm happy to report that the boost gauge, despite how cheap it is, actually produces the same value as what Tuner Studio sees in the laptop. But it's a little bit slow to react, but I think there must be something inside the gauge that's stopping it from like activating straight away, but it does read the same as the PC, so that's a win. However, on the drive, I may have popped something that isn't very good, but I wonder if you can see. Let me just put the hood bonnet up. Take a look at that. Oh, that clamp should not be over there. So I did hear a little ping when I was trying to boost it up. I think when I hit like 4 psi. So I'm just gonna tighten that back up, and hopefully it will give me better boost. It's a good opportunity now to tighten up all the intercooler piping. that test ride was a success. Now let's plumb the boost gauge into one of the eyeball vents, as well as wire in the light on the boost gauge. So I've decided to go a bit whole hog and relocate my gauges. I did have a phone holder in this hole here, but now I've moved it down to here, and shifting into fifth and reverse, my hand doesn't hit the phone at all, so it's perfect. I'm going to move my AFR gauge into the empty hole, and then the boost gauge into the left one. If you don't have a test light, what you could do with your head unit, if your head unit has it, is the dimmer function. And what that works, how that works is that when you turn on the lights, it dims the head unit so that it doesn't glare at you at night. So I know that this head unit has a dimmer switch, so we'll look at the back of the head unit to see which wire that is, and when I turn on the light, that should correspond to when the light of the boost gauge will turn on. So according to this head unit, the orange and white is the dimmer / illumination control. I'm also going to go ahead and drill some holes in the vents here, because that's where the boost gauge signal line, the wires for the boost gauge is going to go, as well as the AFR gauge. Those wires need to come through here as well. Got my famous Christmas tree drill bit. Okay, so I've removed the eyeball vent and put in my boost gauge, so this should fit really snug in the vent hole. Christmas tree drill bit, hole at the back of the vent. So I'll just do the same thing on the other side so I can route both gauges in the holes. Now I'm trying to get my air-fuel ratio gauge from here to there. It's very hard to get my fingers in here. Past all the HVAC controls. Come on, Asian fingers. That was a lot more painful than it should have been. Okay, so the boost gauge line is through. Now I'm going to attach it to the boost gauge itself. Make sure that guy's on there. Nice and tight. Alright, the hardest part is done. Now is to put everything back together, wire out the dimmer switch, and it's all good to go. Right, time to splice into the orange and white and the black for the ground. That should work. Let's turn the key on to see if it works. Whoa, it's blue. That looks awesome. On the camera it looks white, but it's blue and with a red needle. Okay, we proved that it works. Now time to solder it all in, heat shrink, and square it all away. Alright, the bullet connectors, not bullet, the spade connectors are now taped down and crimped, and that's going to go to the other side of the boost gauge. So gonna put all this stuff back together and then clip on the wideband on the left side, and we should be good.